name's Felicia Rose, and this is the Scars and Stillness podcast. Thank you for coming back and hanging out with me for episode 8. I just wanted to check in with everybody. First, thank you so much for being patient with me and your kindness. I wasn't able to even put out episode 8 last week because life has been pretty busy for us. And I mean, just like now, I normally like to have my episode put out at a decent time. It's pretty well into the evening now, but whatever, we're going to get it done because it's important. And it's important for me to make time for it. So, as always, I want to do a trigger warning on our video because, as all of you know by now, our podcast is pretty heavy and we talk about heavy stuff here. So yeah, just a quick trigger warning. If you're feeling any kind of feelings, make sure you check in with your body and that you're kind to your body. You're the most important thing. So make sure you take care of yourself. As always, if I'm looking over to the side, I'm looking at my laptop. I have notes up here on my laptop that just remind me of pinpoints of things that I want to discuss in our episode. Make sure I don't forget anything. And if you're on Spotify and you're listening, if I pause for a quick period of time, that's generally what I'm doing is I'm just kind of looking at my notes and trying to stay focused with what it is that we're talking about. Okay, here we go. So episode 8 is about anxiety, depression, and survival mode. And it's basically exactly what it sounds like. So for me, oh yeah, let's talk a little bit about the last episode. So I have a note right here. It says in the last episode, we talked about building safety and realizing that it still hurts. So when safety still hurts, which I'm sure a lot of people deep enough into their sobriety and freedom from domestic violence or addiction is you do get to this point where you're safe and you feel good and things are going good, but then you still have that moment where you're like, well, I am still broken and this still hurts and I'm still not happy. And that's kind of what episode 7 was about. But moving into episode 8, I really wanted to talk about anxiety, depression, and survival mode. So what I mean by that is, in 2020 to 2022, I had mentioned that like I was married and things were going pretty well for us, but I had reached this point in my life where I was like, this isn't working for me anymore. And I desperately craved freedom, not because there was anything wrong with my partner, but because I knew that I had stuff going on, if that makes sense. So I really craved freedom because I literally felt like I was just so messed up and so broken that there was no possible way that anyone would want to put up with me. And I also felt like I was preventing my ex to be loved the way that he could be loved. And I knew that it was something that I couldn't give to him. So, eventually in 2022, we called it quits. That was it. And I went my own way and he went his own way. And at first there was a lot of animosity, I think, and anger and well, really all the things because I knew that he was really upset with me right at first because it was obviously my fault that we ended our relationship. It was my decision and he was just kind of supporting that cuz that's how he is and he's a good man. But even being alone, you realize that like I had said in the last episode, like no amount of safety or healthy relationships or whatever the case may be is going to heal the broken parts inside of you. That's something that we have to do ourselves. And it's just really difficult to do when you're like pushing it down and you're pretending like it's not there. And I feel like I did that for years. I was just kind of like, oh, that's whatever. And I swallowed it down and I just kind of minimized it. And then eventually, like, it exploded and I couldn't pretend, I couldn't minimize anymore. And so I feel like in 2022, that was when I was like, nope, I've got to focus on healing and I've got to focus on moving forward and just ending this chapter of my life. And as mentioned, I feel like we were both together for a reason, and I feel like we helped each other heal in ways, which was great. And I feel like not all forevers are supposed to be forever, and we reached our top of our relationship, and that was just time to break ties and move forward. Obviously, we're still in each other's lives. We co-parent, we have a son together, and so we do really good now. We're really good friends, and we have really good, strong communication. And we genuinely just care about each other and want each other to be happy in each other's lives. So, um, it was really rough at first, but with time, time. I don't think time heals all wounds. I actually hate that quote, but I do think that with time, we grow and we find healing in things that we do and the work that we do. Um, so kind of moving into it, anxiety and depression in survival mode, that's something that I've carried with me forever. And later in 2022, that was when I reconnected with my first love, and we decided that we wanted to try again for the thousandth time to see about making our relationship work. And we were adults at this point. I mean, it had been like 7 or 8 years since we had even spoken, and so life had happened, and he had been through a lot, I had been through a lot, and we wanted to try to make it work. And we're still together, and things obviously are rocky sometimes, but I think we're really fighting and trying for happiness and healing and all that. Like, obviously, with this video, the importance of it for me is to just explain and show people that there's no time limit on things. Um, Anxiety and depression and survival mode, sometimes, like, you carry that with you forever. Sometimes that kind of stuff doesn't go away. And I don't think there's anything wrong with you or anything wrong with that. Um, I think the most important thing is just learning to like release that negative self-talk, release the negativity. If you're faith-based, like give it to God, lay it at his feet. Like it's not even our job to even there's no amount of stressing and anxiety and anxiousness that we can have that we can even fix anyway. So just give it to God. If you're not faith-based, just release it from yourself. Like in meditation, they teach you stuff like that where you acknowledge that what's happening, you acknowledge the anxiety and the depression and XYZ, but then after you allow it to stay for a moment, you release it into the universe. You no longer have that on you, and then you speak life and healing and grace over yourself. And I mean, that's very similar to God. We do the exact same thing. So, I just surround myself in prayer. I can feel these things popping up, and I'm like, nope, I don't want it. I surrender. I give it to you. I lay it at your feet, and I ask you to just flood me with your presence, your peace, your healing, your grace, your mercy, you know, in Jesus' name. Um, but yeah, so this episode was really important for me, and obviously it's not going to be a long episode. It was just important for me to just show that like anxiety and depression and survival mode, it's a part of it, but it's also something that has a lot of longevity and it may not ever go away, especially for people like myself who I have anxiety. I have an anxiety disorder, I have a depression disorder. I've been diagnosed with those two things since I was a little kid, and I'm not kidding you. Like I think that I got my depressive disorder and my PTSD. I think I got that on my medical record at like 9 years old. Not playing. My first diagnosis of PTSD was around 9. And I'm sure it was way before that, but that was just when we happened to, you know, have me go to the doctor more to kind of help with my sadness and things that had been going on. And so anxiety and depression especially is stuff that I've had to carry with me my entire life. And then obviously addiction and abuse and self-esteem issues and all the things make that way worse. It makes it way worse. So kind of moving into, 2022 and moving forward even to currently, um, it's something that I've had to deal with for a long period of time. And, we have good days and we have bad days. We have some days that, you're in the present and you're focused on your life and, moving forward and you're excited. You're excited about the future and you can feel the healing. You can feel, how far you've come since however long, because I had mentioned in I don't even know what episode at this point, but I had mentioned in a previous episode that, let the world judge me because they think that they know me, and that's fine. But I'm not even remotely close to the same female that I was 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, a year ago, 6 months ago. I'm forever healing and changing and growing. And um, I'm proud of myself. And I feel like any of you should be. Any of you should be that if you keep waking up and choosing to attempt to heal and attempt to move forward with your life, good job. I feel like our world is so calloused and just well, don't get me started with the world. I have a lot of opinions on that. But I just we live in a dark world where people are a lot quicker to shame, to blame, to humiliate, to condemn than they are to be gracious and sympathetic and empathetic. And I really do believe sometimes that I grew up in the wrong time. I feel like I'm just my soul and spirit and moral compass and everything involving my heart. I feel like I was not made for this time that I'm in. Um anyways, moving on. So, as mentioned, for a very long time, 2017 to 2022, I was clean and sober completely from absolutely everything, drugs, alcohol, weed, all the things. And then 2022 was actually when, before I had even left my ex-husband, we had discussed like, maybe, I know I'm not an alcoholic and I've went however many years sober. Maybe it is okay if we have a beer. Maybe it is okay if we have a barbecue and we want to have a beer or have a drink. Um, my ex doesn't drink beer. Like he doesn't drink alcohol at all. But when he does, but like back then when he decided he wanted a beverage, it was not beer at all. So, or whatever the case may be, an alcoholic beverage. And then so in 2022 was when I had had my first alcoholic beverage after being completely sober for a very long time. Um, and then kind of moving deeper into 2022, like when me and my first love got back together. Same thing. I rarely drank. We rarely drank. That was not something that we really liked to do summertime. Unfortunately, we drank a little bit more. Still not very much, but a little bit more. And it was like the same thing. I found myself like getting caught up in these same stupid patterns from when I used to drink back in the day, where I like, of course, by no means was I an alcoholic, and I obviously would go long periods of time without drinking. We would only drink sometimes, and in the summer we drank a little bit more, but still not constantly or all the time. Um, it was more like when we went to the lake or, when we were having a barbecue, and so that was just the thing. But I did notice that I was getting back into those patterns that I had when I was a kid or when I was a big drinker where, no, I'm not an alcoholic, but when I drink, I drink. And then I was getting put in these situations again where I was like being dumb, being dumb, lashing out, saying mean things to, my first love, saying, getting drunk and saying mean things to him and like old wounds were coming out when I was drunk and blacked out drunk and being stupid. And then, we have a conversation the next day and I'm like, I'm just so sorry. I don't know where that came from. And obviously, like we talk about this in therapy right now, where like me now, the woman in me now, is genuinely really happy with my life. I'm really happy with my partner. I'm glad that we have been back together and we've made it work and we have our family and we're just in love and happy. I am happy about that. But I know that the younger me, the teenage me, the me that had been put through all the insanity is very much hurt and still very much not healed. You know what I mean? Like still going through it. And so I feel like when I got belligerently stupid and, I would lash out on him, it was always about that. It was always about the stuff that he did to me, the hurt that he had caused me. I would tell him like, "I hate you, I can't stand you." And I feel like obviously none of that for me is true, but it's completely it's so obvious that there is so many wounds there, you know? And then, yeah, just kind of moving into it, that happened a couple of times, not a lot. I mean, we didn't drink a lot, but that happened a couple of times. I had noticed that when I drank, and then I was kind of getting mad or, yelling at him, or we were getting into arguments about stuff like that. Um, and then I had like a couple moments here and there where, I was like out with friends or whatever, and then I was obviously super intoxicated and wasn't, being the nicest or getting into arguments with irrelevant people, and then the next day being like, "Oh, great." So, good job me. And then, um, I just decided like, we drank a little bit here and there in 2022, drank a little bit here and there in 2023. Last year, 2024, um not because I felt forced by any means, but we were still drinking here and there a little tiny bit, not very often, but same thing, same patterns were happening. Not every time, but I feel like the times that I allowed myself to get drunk, was usually when I would just lash out and not be the nicest person to deal with. Whether not to everyone, it was usually targeted to my love or other people who are irrelevant in our life at this point, but Um, yeah, last year, um, I don't know, man. I just like woke up and I was like, yeah, I don't want to drink anymore. And it was such a cool feeling because it wasn't like I didn't feel forced. I didn't feel like alcohol had power over me anymore. It wasn't like a big deal or anything. Like, and to this day I haven't drank. We don't drink at all. Um, so I've been completely sober again for over a year, which is great. Um Yeah, just completely sober and doing good, don't smoke, don't do anything anymore, which is really it's really powerful for me, especially considering that, like, I don't feel that, like, weird nagging feeling in the pit of my stomach when we go through the grocery store and I see the beer section, and in fact, I actually have moments where I see, like, beer commercials and stuff, I just feel, like, sickened by it, like, it's just not for me. I actually was telling my partner, last year that I had felt like I had kind of developed, like, an intolerance to alcohol, like, I was, I had, like, became allergic to alcohol because I, like, just wasn't feeling it. And technically, like, if you wanna be technical, in 2023 was when we really had quit alcohol, where we had just really was like, "Yeah, no more. This isn't for us." But I don't consider it completely sober because there were times where I would, like, have a sip of beer and realize, like, "No, this don't taste good. I don't want that." Or it'd be winter time. Back in the day, I used to love Kahlua and Cream. That was, like, one of my favorite, wintry drinks. And, yeah, 2023, it was, like, the same thing where it was pushing winter and, my brother had bought, like, some Kahlua and Cream, and I had had, like, a sip of it and was like, "No, I'm just not really into it." But, yeah, 2024 was when I was just completely, completely when I decided I was completely done. We were completely done at that point in the summer of 24, and we haven't drank since, which has been a wonderful and amazing, great thing. And I feel like no nothing against people who drink, nothing against people who smoke pot, like, if it works for you, cool, especially marijuana, if that works for you, good for you, if that's, like, your coping mechanism, awesome. I'm not dissing anybody and any of their things or smoking cigarettes or anything like that. For me personally, I just felt like after everything that I've been through, because I've realistically been put through abuse and chaos since the moment I was born. I've just lived this chaotic, crazy life that I just realized as a grown person, being completely sober and clear-headed is the absolute best thing that I can do for myself and my mental health and my relationships and everything like that. And so I just and my faith, I mean, we all as a family, especially, which I love, makes me so happy, but all of us, me and my partner, my kids, everybody, like we have made God such a huge priority in our life, which has meant so much to me. Um, and I feel like we've all gained a lot of peace and a lot of stillness, and we've all grown a lot closer together. And so it feels good to be sober. It feels good to not feel like I need that. And I remember, like in 2017, when I first got sober from everything the first time, um, I remember saying stuff like, "Well, I don't even have any coping mechanisms. Like, I don't have like like an outlet for to relieve my stress. Like people smoke pot or people drink or whatever, and I didn't have any of that. So, um, I think that just with time and age and with everything that I've been through, I realized that I do have a coping, I do have things to relieve my stress. It's called God, or it's called journaling or reading my Bible or being with my kids. I'm obviously an author, as you guys are very well aware at this point. I write. I'm, I've been like really excited because I put out my first book series, which was great. And I've been kind of thinking about getting back into it and starting a new series. And I've got a lot of ideas already formulating for a new book series, which I'm really excited about. That's part of the reason why it's been such a busy couple weeks, is I've actually been formulating the plan. I've got the cover designs figured out. I've got the whole synopsis and everything worked out. And I'm building the world, that the new series and stuff, which has been really cool. And I'm currently, as of yesterday, at a point where I can start typing chapter 1. So that's been really cool. Um, Writing is healing for me. It always has been completely, totally healing for me. Even journaling, I'm an avid journaler. So yeah, just writing down um, my thoughts. I also write prayers sometimes if I feel like my world around me is too loud and I can't step out or pray in my head or whatever. I'll write it. I'll write my prayer and just kind of get that out and release it to me. And again, if you're not faith based or anything like that, you can, you know, there's still coping mechanisms you have. Meditation and gardening and nature is a huge one. I still feel at one with the nature. And I actually put on my socials like fall, man. I don't know what it is about fall, but I feel so at peace and relaxed in the fall that like this is my season. And I'm not even a fan of Halloween. People assume because I've got like an edgy, casual, alternative style. I always have. People assume that because I like darker colors and darker things that Halloween's my favorite, and it's actually not. My absolute favorite is Christmas, which surprises people, but I just feel, yeah, I always feel like kind of warm and cozy um this time of year, and that's why I like Christmas, because I feel like it just unites you as a family and you can feel the love in the air. And obviously what Christmas is about, to us at least, like for people who are faith-based. Um But yeah, so moving on. Sorry about that. That was a little bit of a spiral there. So yeah, as I just mentioned, like feeling like you don't have an outlet, um, or not really knowing how to like place how you're feeling makes it really hard. And then I just talked about, learning to cope, realizing that you do have coping mechanisms. And it can feel weird at first when like you're so used to, like, it's been so normalized for years to just drink. Like someone puts a beer in your hand, that's become normalized. It does feel weird at first, but, like, breaking old cycles, and sometimes it's generational. I'd mentioned this in another episode as well, where my family actually calls it general curses. Like, we're literally breaking general curses. I'm breaking away from generations and generations and generations of alcoholism and addiction and abuse and, things like that. So, being able to, spot that, see that, and break that is huge. It's a beautiful thing, and I feel like if you're kind of going through that, it's awesome. Good for you. Like, that's something to be truly, genuinely proud of, because I know for me, it's really hard, man. Like, if you're coming from things that are generational, a lot of times it could even be part of your identity or your culture. It could be part of your culture, but I know that it's like that for me where, like, family gatherings always were these humongous we have a huge family, so it was always these humongous, like, full-blown things. They turn into these huge parties and bonfires and, we always all of us, everyone in my family, we feel a lot more at one with ourselves when we're out in nature. So that's what we would do. We'd be on our properties and with, like, big bonfires and tons of food and, of course, lots and lots and lots of alcohol. So that was something that for me, it wasn't even just generational, it was like a cultural part of who I was. And so breaking that was really hard. But I think just finally breaking those old cycles, shutting it down, removing it away from me, and realizing that, like, I am my own person. Like, yes, this is my family, but I'm my own person. I've created my own family. Like, and this is how I want to do things in my house. It's a really powerful and amazing feeling. And then obvious, and it's okay. Like, we're humans. We're not perfect. Like it's okay to have moments where you feel weak. It's okay to have moments where, like for me, I grew up in a super abusive household. And then obviously as I got older, I walked right into abuse and, bad situations for me. So now that I'm grown and I'm in a safe environment, it is so important for me to just create a safe, healthy, stable environment for my children. Um, Same with being present. I grew up where it was always really chaotic, and I felt like my one parent was obviously never around, but I felt like my mom, it was never just like quality time. She was always too stressed out or something was going on or she wasn't even there and um yeah, so it's just really important for me to be completely and totally present with my kids. I mean, obviously, I'm human and I'm gonna have time where I'm gonna want time by myself and that's totally fine. Everyone has the right and deserves to have some time by themselves, but it's just really important for me to have those good, strong relationships with my kids to, sit down and play board games with them and actually help them with art or whatever they're asking me about. And it makes our relationships grow stronger. And now that my kids are really, really interested in God, that's been a way to really connect us as well, is that we'll go over Bible verses and we all go to church together and we talk about things. My 5-year-old, actually the other day, he was talking to me about praying to Jesus. He's like, he asked me when he was allowed to do that. And I said, man, you can talk to God whenever you want. You can talk to God and Jesus whenever you want. And he's like, okay, hang on. I'm going to go pray really quick in the hallway. So, and then he comes back into the kitchen and he's like, Mom, I have to tell you what I prayed about. That, that it was very meaningful to me. It meant a lot. So, yeah, I mean, I think just realizing that we're human beings, that that trauma, man, we've been through a lot, and I think that that's okay. But I also think that kind of going back, it's like a full circle. Going back to it, we can have these days where we're happy and things are good and life is good, but then we can have these other days where, like, our whole body, head to toe, is like pins and needles. We're not feeling very good. Our chests are tight. Our heart is quickened. We don't know why. We don't know what's going on, but, like, we are anxious. We want to be left alone. We don't want the outside world to see us. Like, you know what I mean? And sometimes you can't even explain it. That happens to me. I just wake up in some days and I'm like, nope, 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 nope. I just can't. I can't even with the world. And I feel like that's how my depression is too. It's like I have days where I'm doing really good and everything's really fine and life's great. And then I have other moments where I'm like just down and low and muted, and I feel like that shadow again is just giving me a hug and it's just kind of like fogging who I am. But I think the most important thing is just recognizing that it's okay. It's okay that we have scars. It's okay that we have depression or anxiety or lingering triggers or trauma, PTSD, or whatever it is that you're carrying with you. It's okay, and some people are like, well, I've had it for 10 years. That's okay. And sometimes we're going to have it for the rest of our lives. But we aren't just our anxiety. We are not just our depression. We are not just our triggers and our PTSD and our trauma. We are who we are, and those are just things that are kind of attached to us because of life, because of the things that we've been through. So, it's just it's really important for me to just let people know that, like, it's okay. I feel like for me, I silently struggled for years. I only started getting really vocal about it probably in 2023. Um, I had silently struggled with depression and anxiety and just feeling like I was out of my mind. I still have moments, because 'cause I'm a human, where I feel like I am out of my mind and I still need to be alone and I need to run and I need to, just hide myself in a box and never be in a relationship and just protect myself at all costs, like, I think that that's just a part of scars. It's a part of being hurt, and I think that just recognizing that is another thing, and just loving myself through those times that are really challenging is also really important, and also communication, like, communicating that to my partner and really, like, I remember, however many months ago, I had had a moment like that where I was like, "Nope, this is the end, can't do this anymore, I'm out of my mind. I feel like I'm out of my mind. I don't wanna be with you, I need to be on my own. I don't think that I can be in a relationship," just all the things, just spiraling, completely spiraling, and he didn't meet me with anger or all the things, that I not necessarily I'm not necessarily predicted because my partner doesn't really get angry, he doesn't really yell, like, that's just not our style with each other. Even when we were kids, like, that was just never really our thing, but he met me with, like, such an understanding and love that I just was like, "Man, he really loves and understands and just gets me." And he understands, like, "That's not even you. Like, that's not you, babe. It's okay, and I'm gonna be here." He always says stuff like, "Well, I'm here and you can't get rid of me." So and to me, like, that's just really comforting that even despite, like, me having my moments of just really struggling, like, I've got someone there that, like, genuinely wants to be there. So I think just to wrap up the episode today, I had mentioned it's not gonna be as long of a video. I just wanted to really acknowledge how important it is to understand and realize that the majority of us all struggle with some form of mental health disorder. And even after 25 years of, recovery or being out of your abusive relationships and trying to, establish a new life, new coping mechanisms, you're still, thrown into those triggers or you're still battling the things that you're battling. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with you. This is just how it is. And I think that the more people who speak out about it and realize that I think that we're helping people. I think that we show people that they really aren't alone and it is okay. We're humans and it's okay to have scars, like our brand, right? It's okay to have scars, but we can also have a life that's still and peaceful and healing. So, thank you guys for hanging in there with me today and sorry for any of the rants that I went on. But really just thank you so much for all the love and support that I've been getting with the channel and um, the brand Scars and Stillness and everyone reaching out to me on socials. Means a lot. If this is something that you are interested in, please feel free to like and share and subscribe if you want. So you can just always stay updated on everything that I'm talking about. And if you want to follow me on all my other socials, I know it's pretty difficult to see in the video, but you can follow me on there. I know that I have like links to all my other socials in my bio. Um, but again, just thank you guys so much for being amazing and really taking an interest in what I have to say. I'm nothing special. I'm just a woman who's been through it who I just want to share my experiences with the world. So again, I just thank you. And as always, I see you and you're enough and you are never not worth saving. And it's going to be okay.